Hey everybody, Unstable Gamer here, and welcome back to another Marvel Strike Force video. In this video, we're going to take a look at the last two developer updates. We're going to take a look at a couple articles about Marvel Strike Force in the news, and at the end, we're going to take a look at a little Datamine update that just popped up last night. But first, before we jump into all of that, if this is your first time finding this channel and you want to stay up to date with this and other games, consider hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss out. All right, and welcome back. So I haven't done a dev update in a while, only because the last two updates have been fairly small. So we're going to go ahead and run through those really quick. Going to analyze a little bit of Rescue's stuff that they bring out in the dev update. And then we're going to take a look at a couple articles and, like I said, look at a small Datamine update that popped up last night. But first, so these release notes that we got here, release notes 3.1.3, just goes through discussing Rescue coming as a new character, and then Frontlines Chapter 2 starting. So that is the first time where they have put into an event campaign a part 2. It gives you an opportunity to play Rescue through that campaign piece, which I thought was pretty cool. That's pretty much all this is. Goes a little bit into what her abilities are. These are all max level. I also did a video on Rescue, went through all of her abilities and stuff, and if you haven't seen that, I'll go ahead and link that up right here. Next is the developer update here. This is what I wanted to spend a little bit of time on. This week's release of Rescue introduces new combat mechanic Barrier. So that is the third time they introduced something new. Previous to that, it was Disrupted and Immunity. But this effect works in a different way. Barrier provides protection in the form of a player shield, capable of absorbing a set amount of damage before any damage is inflicted on the character's health. And you'll notice that when she puts a barrier across her entire team, you'll see that third bar, similar to other games that we've seen with shields and things like that. You'll see a third bar start to fill in. It says pick your targets carefully when facing Rescue, as you'll have to fight through the barrier to deal damage to the targeted character. So just another way to strategize how you're going to get through this team, right? And this team specifically with Rescue and the Power Armor team is an offensive team for war. This next part goes through Rescue and some of her abilities, and it gives a couple tips in here as well. Where Rescue really shines is in the use of her barrier. We know that, and they call out two ways specifically here. The on-demand way is through her special ability, which is Tech Shield. Let's pop in the game really quick. So as a reminder, Tech Shield barriers all allies for 2,500 plus 10% of this character's max health, applies regeneration to all allies, and then in war applies 2 regeneration to all allies instead. This level 7 here adds a plus 1,000 to the barrier, which I think is great. So maxed out, 3,500 plus 10% of this character's health. I mean, that really gives a nice cushion there for the entire team. All right, next. It's important to note that barrier is not persistent. So meaning if you use this in a raid, it's not going to follow you from one raid node to the next. I think Storm is the only character whose ability is persistent and moves from one node to the next. So it allows you to build up those charges for her ultimate so that you go ahead and save them up for boss node or whatever, or Ultimus or whoever you're saving it up for to blast that. That's the only character that I'm pretty sure is the only character that can do that, because you can't carry over charges from Juggernaut or anybody else, so, or Captain Marvel either. The other way is to apply the barrier through her passive. So if we take a look at her passive really quick, her passive is the Stark upgrade. So in War on Spawn, barrier power armor allies for 1,500 plus 5% of this character's health. So it's a minor barrier, I guess you can call it, a minor barrier compared to the Tech Shield, but it still builds up that barrier. And then in War, when an ally drops below 50% health, you barrier them for 1,500 again, plus the 5% of this character's max health. You also gain 10% max health, and then power armor allies gain the plus 10% max health as well. You max this out to level 5, you're going to add 500 to that barrier, so you're going to have barrier your team for 2,000 plus that 5%. But in War, you're going to add another 5% for the barrier and another 5% for the max health. In my opinion, initially, I wasn't sure if it was worth the 200 there, but I think just for the barrier alone, to really withstand some of those first attacks, especially with this one here. When you spawn in, you automatically spawn in with the barrier. The more barrier you have, the better, right? And the more health you have, the better. So I'm probably going to go ahead and use my orange material on both of her barrier abilities. This one here, the Stark upgrade, as well as her tech shield. All right, and the next is Colossus. So we heard about him. We've heard about him through some leaks and stuff like that. So it has been confirmed we got a new member of the X-Men team, which is going to be Colossus. He's a powerful protector that can absorb heavy damage by stacking positive effects and mitigating incoming damage with deflect. Colossus's abilities make him difficult to get through, and he's one of the reasons the X-Men will be the new Apex Arena team. You know that the developers are very, very keen on giving us set teams to use in specific game modes. Very cool thing, though, is that there is still some flexibility within those specific teams to kind of do a mix and match and make your own. So, like currently one of the best raid teams is, let's see, it's Minerva and Groot, Star-Lord, Thanos, and Rocket Raccoon. That's the one that I currently use. I know a lot of other people use that as well. Fantastic raid team. It's not a raid team that was put together specifically to be a team together, but with the synergies and everything, and just Minerva being awesome, then, I mean, it just makes for a really good team. This team here is going to be the next meta for the arena, according to the developers. So I'm very curious to see what else we have coming out. We have the Dark Phoenix movie coming out. So Dark Phoenix is probably going to be one of them. Jean Grey, whatever iteration they bring out for that. So I'm very curious to see who they bring out for that. And then, let's see, it says Colossus will arrive sometime in the not too distant future. So like with Coulson, they said in the future, so he's probably a little ways out. For this here, the not too distant future, we might see Colossus before Coulson. Not sure. So that was the last update that we had last week. It came out on the 10th. Now let's go ahead and switch over to an article that I found. And then in the article from Screen Rant, they talk about the addition of Pepper Potts. They go through kind of the game a little bit. Just a couple things I wanted to point out from this article that I thought was pretty cool. This one right here, Marvel Strike Force won the 2019 Google Play Awards Best Breakthrough Game of the Year, which is awesome and has been a well-received mobile title noted for its depth and attention to detail. I have to agree with that. I like the gameplay. I like the story. I like the character design. I like the synergies that they're building between the teams. And if you go down towards the bottom of the article here as well. So it talks a little bit about while the mobile gaming remains something of a taboo for some gamers, because I think ultimately there's more console gamers than mobile gamers, but you're definitely seeing a shift towards the mobile. Marvel Strike Force represents the positive elements in a well-made handheld device title. Absolutely agree. Now, it's had its ups and downs over the last year, just with a whole lot of stuff, but I really believe that we're seeing a really nice turn in the right direction for this game. We're getting regular communication. We have a community manager that gets those communications out and also interacts with the community on Reddit, gives us updates there, answers questions. I think it's absolutely fantastic. So very well, very cool. The gameplay is deep. The details regarding the property are deliberately and carefully recreated, and the developer is clearly willing to support it with continued character additions. Obviously, we're seeing a ton of additional characters being released, quite a bit. Plus, the newest Datamine talks a little bit about that. It's not a major Datamine, but it gives a little hint on what's coming up. And then Marvel Strike Force's rescue debut is yet another reason to give the game a try. And then just the other piece here talks about Marvel Strike Force being primed to capitalize on Avengers Endgame hype. Absolutely. I mean, you got Thanos. They went ahead and opened up the Thanos raids again. We've got Rescue, and we saw Pepper Potts as well. So that was just really cool. This was interesting, too. It also seems like a relatively easy transition to get people interested in Marvel Strike Force to at least consider something like Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, which will be releasing on the Nintendo Switch later this year. So actually, that's a game that I'm really looking forward to. And I went out and I found some old copies of Ultimate Alliance and Ultimate Alliance 2 that I want to play through and then get to Ultimate Alliance 3. So I think that's going to be fun. Finally, the Datamine. Let's go ahead and pop into that really quick. So here we go right here. Just this really quick Datamine that came up last night. So we have 3 new playable characters coming. We have a war update, which is cool. We have Elite Red Star updates, very nice to see that. I cannot wait for that. That is something we went over in another video as well, and in another Datamine. So I'm looking forward to seeing more information on that really soon. Alliance improvements. You know, I'm curious what kind of alliance improvements that they're going to introduce to the game. I haven't really heard anything. And then it says and more. So those are some pretty cool things. It says get ready for these and other big changes coming soon. So this game does not bore you at all. There's always stuff coming out. There's always stuff to look forward to. So there you go, everybody. That's what I had to show you today. Just a quick video to show some Marvel Strike Force in the news and a little bit of a data mine there. Really interested to hear what you think about everything going on in the game and the direction that it's headed. I, for one, am very optimistic, and I like what we've seen so far. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for taking time to watch the video. If you liked it, make sure to hit that like button and share your thoughts and questions in the comment section below. Take care, everyone, and we'll talk to you next time.